Hello, my name is Kristine Ray Anderson. I'm the author of the chapbook Field of Everlasting, forthcoming in summer 2022 from Main Street Rag Publishing Company. The poems in Field of Everlasting consider what endures in our lives, what, after all, do we hold on to, and what holds on to us. I'm going to read 3 poems from the collection. I hope you find in these poems something meaningful for you. The first poem is called My Mother's Hats. Finally, my aunts and I pull from the topmost closet shelf boxes of hats. Box after dusty box of hats. We're at my parents' house to clear away my mother's medicines and makeup, jewelry and clothes, handwritten shopping lists with orange juice and sugar in her looping script, so my father doesn't have to navigate these ghosts alone. It's January 1978, and I am 22. I tug an oval box lid. It slides open easily, uncovers an ivory cocktail hat nestled inside. A hexagonal box reveals an emerald green calotte. In another, a veiled black cloche. I reach in to lift a headpiece out, turn it over, feel the friction of netting, of satin smooth as liquid time, but can't bring myself to try it on. How long had these hats been stored away? In a black and white photo from 1959, my family dressed for church. Dad in his Sunday-only suit, Mom in a dress gathered around her slender waist, a lacy pillbox placed on styled hair. My sister and I pose impatiently in front. Perhaps my mother kept the hats because each one recalled the woman she had been, or gave her hope she'd reclaim her life. Years ago, she packed away one last hat, hands cradling the brim to set it down, then lowering the lid. At her funeral yesterday, my mother lay stock still in her silk-lined box, adorned in the dress she'd purchased for my wedding barely half a year before, pastel chiffon, ablaze with spring. My next poem is titled Running in the Pacific Northwest, December. Light snow clings to black tarred street. On both sides of the road, white lawns, white open fields. Ahead, Olympic mountains rise into winter, carrying their snow up with them. This is my first white Christmas, and I am 34. Running in shorts, sweatshirt, and gloves, I breathe heavily, gratefully. Half a mile behind me, in a 2-bedroom house with 2 redwood trees he planted out front when he moved back from years in California, my father sits on a worn brown sofa in a room heated by a wood stove, taking oxygen through a tube in his nose, coughing into large Kleenex. He's dying from emphysema. Eventually, he will drown in phlegm. And I will be there. He'll be propped up in a chrome and white-sheeted hospital bed in the middle of June, and he won't have said a word to anyone for weeks. I will have arrived just 30 minutes before, held his hand since I walked into the linoleumed room. I won't ever know if he heard me say hello and it's all right. When he stops breathing and his hand falls slack in mine, I won't believe he's gone. It's so quiet. Like snow falling around me as I run. Like a monochromatic Sunday afternoon in December. As unceremonious as my first white Christmas, when I run in light snow, my legs turning red from the cold and my ears feeling big from the cold, and my heart melting right through my shirt. The final poem I will read is the poem from which the title of the book is taken, Pandemic 2020, A Field of Everlasting. It begins with an epigraph from the Nature Collective. Everlasting gets its name from the dry, papery filaries, specialized leaves that surround the base of each flower cluster. These persist long after the flowers have dropped off. In our shelter, behind the closed front door of home, my husband, my grown son, and I, in separate rooms, laptops open, stare into the world that goes on without us. 5 months of lockdown. Evenings with Scrabble or Columbo reruns, MASH episodes for the umpteenth time, weekly forays to Ralph's or Vaughn's in emptier early hours, our masks secure, obscuring smiles, muffling voices. An infrequent nighttime walk along tracked home sidewalks, distanced from neighbors' strolling dogs, young skateboarders maskless as they pass. One morning, we venture into the world of fever and fear, drive through streets of stucco-sided homes, through the whir and rattle of cars and gardeners at work, past building sites and road crews, toward the unpaved and unconstructed, to escape all this pretending everything's still the same. By foot, we set out on narrow upward paths of dirt, air light with trills of sparrows, Chicago of the quail, among skittering lizards, rabbits, a ribbon-patterned snake who call this open sanctuary home. Rocks clutter the way like features of a life. We pass by willow and sycamore and oak, hedges of lemonade berry, bee busy buckwheat in flower. At a bend, we turn into a canyon of umber and gold, sea green and jade. Around us, a congregation of shrubs shoulder high, topped by clusters of white florets pushing toward the sky. We stop to catch our breath, inhale the maple scent, surrounded by a field of everlasting. Thank you for listening.